I will show how to work with our LFA app core, which is included in our package LFApp. For this, you first have to install and load the package. So for installing the package, you can look at one of our other videos. Now I load the package, and now I run the core app, which opens up the Shiny app. Now for this demonstration, I will use the sample image, which is an image of 3 strips, 3 lateral flow strips in one image. So I will set the number of strips to 3. We have 2 lines here, and we make a first selection here of the region of interest, and now we have the zoomed image, and now we can make a more precise selection of the lines, of the bands. Now I will adjust it a little bit, so the bands, the lines should be roughly in the middle of the respective segments. There are segments in between lines. These segments, they can be used for background correction, more precisely for the background correction using the quantile method. Now that looks quite fine, so we apply the segmentation, which brings us to the next tab. Here you see this is now the extraction of the signals. So we will start with the first strip. It's not a color image. The lines are not darker than the background, so we can select here some thresholding methods for calculating the background. The default, which works for our experience, from our experience, works well for many images, is Otsu. It's a fully automatic threshold algorithm. So we apply the threshold. Then here the white area indicates all the pixels where we have values above the background for the 2 lines. And then these are the intensities, the images of the background subtraction. So now if this looks fine, so here we get the mean and median intensities, and on top we have the thresholds. If that's fine, then we can add it to intensity data. And we can either process this image once again, which means we can select also a different approach here. For instance, Lee is also fully automatic, so we select apply, we press apply threshold, and then we have a second possible result here for this image, and again we add it to intensity data. And our 2 semi-automatic approaches, Triangle, uses an offset. So by increasing the offset, the background threshold will be increased. By reducing the offset, the background threshold will be reduced. Again, we have here an offset. With this offset, we get quite reasonable results. We add it to intensity. And finally, we use our quantile method. From our experience, usually a high quantile is fine here. So 99 is obviously a little bit too high here. So we reduce it maybe to 95. Apply threshold again. That looks quite reasonable here in this case, and add it to intensity data. We found that for images where the bands, the lines were not so strong, the quantile method and the triangle method seem to work better, because you have to adapt. You can adapt the method a little bit, so it's working better for such blurred images where you don't have clear bands. And after you have processed everything, you can switch to the next image here. So now the next image, we use Otsu thresholding, apply the threshold, add it to the intensity data. The next strip 3, apply the thresholding and add it to the intensity data. When all strips are processed, you can either go back to the first tab and read the next image, or you can switch to the intensity data, and this gives you the data you have generated. And this data you can now download to some of your folders and use it for your work, or can perform different analysis on this kind of data. So that's our core app, and that the functionality of the core app is included in all of the other apps. And so if you want to know more about the other apps, then please watch the respective video of the respective app.